Thank you for the introduction, Elisa. So Elisa already went over a bit on what Animal Biome does, but to provide a brief, more specific overview of our sample intake process and in the way that we receive samples from pet parents, our lab team receives sample tubes in the mail, and then we have to log the sample metadata and organize it for downstream laboratory processes and protocols. These samples are extracted and then sequenced to generate our reports. While it may seem small, this step of logging and organizing the metadata can actually become very time intensive as we receive around 350 samples a week. This leads to a question that we had to solve. What would be the most efficient way to store and organize a large amount of data? So originally we were using Google Sheets to organize all of our lab produced data. This resulted in a few problems over time as our data set grew. We had maxed out on the capacity size of our Google Sheets. Different sheets had to be used to be able to represent the same data in different ways that were needed by our team, our protocols, or other teams. Loading time was getting longer and searching for specific data could be complicated, and while updating the data was time consuming. Scispot provided an efficient alternative to Google Sheets. We were able to have faster loading times. Their views allowed us to see our metadata and hide unimportant data within the same sample manager so that there is less data redundancy. Updating their data became quick and efficient, and we were also able to search samples using a variety of filters, thus making it easier to find very specific data without having to apply many formulas to figure out what we needed. Scispot has been very helpful in automating our sample intake process. While it may seem small, the sample intake, like I said, gets very big. We get around 350 samples a week, and a lot of it was being manually updated before. By connecting Sample Manager with our database, we're able to get automatic sample metadata updates from our database into Sample Manager. This decreased on a lot of time and also data accuracy because we were just getting data directly from our database instead of having to manually port it over. With the use of bulk action, we're then able to automate the process of updating our sample metadata in a fast and easy way. The reason we were able to do this is we could look up a sample binding column. We no longer had to update samples one at a time and could actually bulk update data using the bulk action feature. And updating the data once also connects and proliferates across all of our lab sheets. Now, what we were using Zapier for. So once our lab team received the data and received the samples, we had to have a way to notify our customers that we had received the samples. And what we were using before was we were connecting, what we're still currently using as we're updating our system, we were using Zapier to connect Google Sheets and Gmail to be able to send customer emails. Then we had to individually search for customer name, pet name, and customer email on our database to update our Google Sheet before we were sending out the customer emails. To be able to send out these customer emails, we had to have different tabs for our different emails with our various use case scenarios. So this process ended up being time consuming and was spread across not just our team, but other teams in the company to allow us to be able to send out what seems like a simple task of sending out customer emails. As you can see down at this screenshot on the bottom, this is like an actual screenshot of our Google Sheet that we were using to send out customer emails. So we were sorting it into our different templates. So it actually was it is a very time consuming task. So with Zapier on Scispot, with the use of filters, we're able to more efficiently select a batch of samples to send an email using one of our multiple email templates. So all we have to do is go onto our sample manager, go to the specific view we want, apply whatever filters we need for the criteria for that email, and then mark all. And then by selecting the Zapier native UI, we then see like the pop-up which shows all of our zaps. And then we can select the zap that we would want. This greatly reduces the amount of time spent manually copying and pasting samples into different tabs on Google Sheets, while also having a easy to use UI for teams outside of our lab team.
Thank you, Novia. Thank you for the nice overview of what we are currently doing in the lab. And thank you for explaining so in a very good way how Zapier on Scispot will be very beneficial for all of us. So I would just conclude with this slide, which I'm doing a comparison of the two different workflows. Um, Zapier through Google Sheets is kind of like time consuming and is a very long process for all of us because as you noticed from the previous slide, we need to we need to update multiple Google Sheets in order to get Zapier to be triggered and send the emails to our customer samples. While with Zapier through Scispot, we can, easily and very fast, in a very fast way, do sample intake on Sample Manager. We just need to apply filters and select the samples which we want to send the emails and then trigger Zapier through a simple click. So we are looking forward of having this connection on Zapier, and we just want to thank Scispot for making it possible for us.